Let's talk Phoenix Metro real estate. Numbers that are going to surprise both buyers and or sellers. Stick around to the end. You don't want to miss any of this information if you're in the market to make a move in the Valley of the Sun. Please click like, subscribe, leave us a comment, and there's a new hype button. Give that a whirl. All of it truly helps the channel grow. Jennifer, take it away.
New listings. In June, there were 7,340. The previous month was 9,180, and last year this time there was 8,619.
Right out of the gates, we see new listings are down from last month and down from last year, which means inventory is starting to get gobbled up by buyers who are getting off the fences, which then means it's starting to become more of a balanced market. Where is there nervous times ahead for buyers or sellers? Not necessarily, but it's definitely shifting. For a long time, it's been a solid buyer's market. It still is, in my humble opinion, a buyer's market. But when we see inventory decreasing, meaning that buyers are starting to purchase properties, owning homes of their own, that means that sellers will start to gain more momentum when it comes to the slight shifting of the power struggle, if that's the terminology we want to use when it comes to buying and or selling. Keep in mind, throughout the video, I'm just giving the stats, and it's really what you need to hear. Sometimes you do want to hear it, sometimes you don't want to hear it, but at least you know it's 100% truth if you're thinking about making a move. Nobody needs fluff when it comes to one of the biggest decisions financially you might make in your lifetime.
Active listings. Last month, there were 24,748. The previous month, 25,724, and last year this time there were 26,637.
New listings are down, active listings are down from last year and last month. I think you see the pattern starting to form. In fact, it is forming. I'm going to sprinkle a little bit of this and that for you, just food for thought. Typically, when you see new listings down and active listings are down, the quick path is to think, well, that means that buyers are out there buying properties or homes of their own, as I mentioned earlier, which is true. But here's, again, something to maybe think about. Sometimes when you have a strong market one way or the other, and for the longest of times it's been a strong buyer's market, many potential sellers pump the brakes and don't put their properties on the market just to see what is going to happen. They don't want more competition if they're trying to sell their property. And that comes along with a string of other caveats that they may have. When there's a lot of properties out there, buyers are more selective and they're probably going to put in a lower offer and or ask for more repairs. So sometimes when you see new listings down, it's a combination of buyers eating up that inventory, active and new listings, and potential sellers holding off. But when you see the momentum starting to shift, and we are, it's a good indication that potential sellers are now thinking this might be the time, which causes a chain reaction to many buyers to say, we better get out there and pull the trigger before there's nothing left on the shelves for us to buy. I don't see that happening tomorrow, but the shift is a-coming. If you're ready to buy and or sell real estate in Arizona, download our free and private app. It's amazing, easy to navigate. We don't sell your personal information. Well, there, get your buyers, sellers, and or relocation guide. The link's below. Let us help you get moving.
Closed listings. In June, there were 6,283. The previous month, 7,837. And last year this time, 6,594.
Thank you, Jennifer, for that information. When it comes to closed listings, we can see that they're down from last month and down from last year. So you may, or someone may think, wait a second, if we're selling more houses, how come both last year and this year numbers are down for closed listings? Well, the whole pie, as it were, shrank down as there's less inventory out there. You can see there's a lot more houses for sale, active listings, and a lot more new listings when we combine the two than there are closed listings. So there's just a lot more inventory still out there, but houses are being sold. It just slowed down a little bit for the last month. But if you look back 12 months, you'll see we're almost on par to where we were, which is a good sign for sellers because, again, that inventory is slowing down, less properties on the market, and homes are continuing to sell. But again, buyers, fear not. It's not anything to worry about. There's still plenty of homes out there. However, I probably wouldn't wait forever to speak to a lender and get qualified and then get out there and unlock a couple of doors. Find your dream home.
Average sales price. Last month, it was $629,389. The previous month, $628,590. And last year this time, it was $15,000 lower at $615,996.
Okay. The first couple of statistics seem to be heavily towards the buyers, which makes sense. Here's some good news, and as I say, the crowd favorite, average sales price. I say crowd favorite because both buyers and sellers kind of focus in on this like a laser. Price is important. Buyers and sellers like this data, usually for polar opposite reasons. Sellers want as much as possible, as quick as possible, with the least amount of repairs and a move-out time that works for them. And buyers want low prices when they're buying a move-in time that works for them and as many repairs as they can get approved for from the sellers. But all that being said, when we look at why this is perhaps a great time to be buying for both buyers and sellers. Again, rehashing a little bit, inventory is on the shelf and there's plenty of a selection for buyers. When we look at average sales price, prices over the last 12 months are up and holding their own and or up, which is a good thing for sellers. If all of a sudden there was just a ton of inventory, which is a decent amount of inventory and there has been for months, and prices start tanking, then all of a sudden, well, buyers might go into what might be considered a panic mode or, we better take what we can get before there's nothing left to be had. That's not the case. The Valley of the Sun, the Phoenix metro area, when it comes to housing, real estate as it were, is holding its own. The prices are there, in fact, increasing. And when you have that, it means it's desirable for people to move here. The jobs, the weather, outdoor activity, shopping, dining, etc. When all of that comes together, it's desirable to live in places like that. So home values will retain or increase, and they are. Sellers, there's the good news for you. Buyers, let's start grabbing houses now so you can start building equity, stop paying the rent. Unless, of course, you're, living at home, which is fine. Mom and dad are cooking and cleaning and you have your chores. Maybe you're still getting the allowance and they're helping with the laundry. But my point to the story is, if you're ready to make a move, it's a good time to be looking. And sellers, I do believe it's a good time to dabble into the realm of putting your house on the market, because once inventory starts decreasing, that's when buyers start shopping. It's just a cause and effect when it comes to the ebbs and flows. And I know I say that over and over, but it's also supply and demand. Maybe that's a better way of wording it. And when one goes up, the other goes down. And we're seeing that right now. So let's do what we have to do. And that means get moving.
Sold to list ratio. Last month it was 97.28%. The previous month 97.42%. And last year this time roughly the same, 97.60%. And what that means is that if it was 100%, that the seller received their full asking price.
Sold to list ratio may be one of my favorite statistics in our videos. Why? Well, the reason may surprise you. It's selfish. Jennifer not only gives us the information, she also gives us a definition, explanation as it were. Thus, I can move on to the next one. There's that. But it is information that you want to know, and exactly what it means was just explained. So when you put that together with the fact that it's already done for me, it's a win-win for all of us, isn't it?
Monthly supply of inventory. Last month, it was 3.9. The previous month, 3.3. And last year this time, 4.0.
Month's supply of inventory, another one that I look at. And again, I gauge a lot of information based on the big picture, the macro. But when we break it down to the micro, again, the trees versus the forest, the information becomes more fitting when a client dials in the game plan more specifically what they're looking for. But in general, I always say a good amount or a healthy amount of inventory here in the Phoenix metro area is between 2 months low, 4 months high, 3 months mean average. And I say that in almost every video I've put out over the years. And we're right about the 4-month mark, just under, which means inventory is starting again, the broken record that I am, starting to be gobbled up, meaning houses are starting to be purchased by buyers, and thus they now have their homes. Hopefully their dream and or forever homes, but that's a video for another time where most people don't stay in their homes forever anymore, or the 20, 30-year mortgages that they take out if not cash buyers. Sorry for rambling, but again, my point to the story is it's good to see inventory moving, and once we start getting a little under that 4-month mark, it's an indication that buyers are starting to purchase properties, and that makes my heart go pitter patter. I love when people buy properties and sell properties. I'm equal opportunity here.
Listing success rate. In June, it was 66.10. The previous month, 72.70%, and last year this time, 68.20%. So basically what that means is 1 out of every 3 listings do not close.
Listing success ratio. Yep, it's down from last month and last year. And Jennifer's explanation is spot on. When you start looking at how many houses out of 100 would sell, well, 66% are, 33% plus or minus or not. So by that math, 2 out of 3 houses are selling, 1 is not. But let's kind of dissect that a little bit. It doesn't mean, and I usually say this repetitively as well. Is it repetitively? Or, well, over and over. I say it like this. Just because you have, let's say, 3 houses on a block, all 3 of them may sell, all 3 of them may not sell. Sometimes it comes down to price, location, timing. So it's not to say that 3 houses in a row, 1 sells, 2 sells, 3 does not sell. It just means that by the numbers, and remember, everything in this video is average. So if you were to have maybe a 1-bedroom condo in Scottsdale, that may or may not go quicker than a 6 or 7-bedroom horse property in Apache Junction. And again, no pluses or minuses to size or shape or locations. I'm just giving you an example. Sometimes it's more desirable at any given time, different places for properties to move. And then there's some subdivisions that we don't even need to put a post in the front yard, our sign as it were, because it's that desirable. And that could tie into, again, schools and timing, children's locations or locations that parents want their children to go to school. So it all kind of ties into a lot of factors that go into maybe what's the hotter commodity. Hot chocolate in the winter, a cold, refreshing beverage in the summer. It does come a lot to do with timing, but it also times the market is a difficult thing to dial in for the big picture, for the masses. But it's relatively simple when we sit down and create a custom game plan for an individual or a family. The picture becomes pretty clear what they're looking for, where they're looking for, the timing, the pricing, the specifics, the matter of facts of their housing requirements dialed in to what their needs are. And then it becomes pretty easy to use these numbers and explain what is going to happen based on what they're looking for.
Average days on market. In June, it was 84. The previous month, 82. And last year, this time, 76.
Last but not least, days on market. We're pretty much the same as last year, almost spot on from last month. So the only real advice I'll give you, which gives our listeners here on the Mr. Rogers Homes Team Real Estate Channel the advantage, is that Days on market is not how long it takes a property to get sold. Nope, it's how long it takes a property to go for sale to under contract. Once it's under contract, there's still steps that are going to need to be taken in order for that transaction to be complete. Usually there's an appraisal. The bank wants to see, if the numbers match contract to value of property. And then there's an inspection. Buyers and sellers can renegotiate those terms or those found needed repairs and or adjust the pricing. All of those could stretch out, if that's the way we want to word it, the actual closing date to when a seller actually gets money in their piggy bank and a buyer gets the keys to their new home. So that number from for sale to sold is a different number, longer lengthwise when it comes to days on market, than it would be how long a property goes from we just put it for sale to we just accepted a contract. So again, days on market, how long it takes for a property to go for sale to under contract. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, check out this one. I think you'll like it too. Until next time, please take care of yourself. God bless America. Talk to you soon.